Have you seen a style that looks complicated but is actually easy to make? Thank you for stopping by. So in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make this elegant blouse with an extended peplum paired with a Sunray Baggy pants that turn heads everywhere you go. I'll show you the complete cutting and sewing process, so you might want to stick to the end. Please do also subscribe to my channel if you have not done so, and give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into it. So I'll be making use of these 2 yards of Ankara fabric, and I also have these 3 yards of Sunray fabric as well. So let's draft the front pattern. From the shoulder area, which is the starting point, I came down by 10 inches. That is my bust line. I came down by 16.5 inches as well, and then I added 1.5 inch allowance. So that is my half length. So I'll just go ahead and extend all the lines like so. So on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and this blouse is going to have a cut together sleeve. So after marking the shoulder measurement divided by 2, I'm also going to add extra 6 inches for the cut together sleeves and allowance. So for the neck width, I went in by 3 inches, and then on the part where the sleeve extension ended, I came down by 1 inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect from that point to the neck like so. So for the neck depth, I came down by 3.5 inches. You can use 3 inches or 4 inches depending on how deep you want your neckline to be. So I'm just going to use my French curve to draw my neckline like so. So on the bust line, I marked my bust measurement divided by 4. And then I added 1.5 inch for my sewing allowance. On the waistline, which is my half length, I marked my waist measurement divided by 4. I added 1.5 inch for allowance, and then I added 1 inch for the dart allowance. So I'm just going to connect the waistline to the bust line like so with my ruler. So let's measure everything we have on the shoulder area. So I measure everything, and then I came down to the bust line. I marked whatever I measured on the shoulder area, and then I connected in a straight line like so that it can be equal. So let's draw the armhole curve. So we are blending the armhole into the body part like so. And there you have your cut together sleeve. Let me show you how to measure your dart in case you don't know how to. So I marked my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 on the waistline, and then from the bust line I came down by 2 inches. So on that point I also marked my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, and then I connected in a straight line. So on the waistline, I'm going to go in and out of that straight line by 1/2 inch, and then I'm also going to connect back in a slant manner like so on both sides, and here you have your dart. So let's go ahead and cut it out. That's all for drafting of our front pattern. So for the back pattern, place your front pattern on your folded fabric like so, and then I added 1.5 inch for the zipper allowance. So that's all for the back pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So for the neckline of the back, I'm just going to come down from the shoulder by about 1.5 inch because we want the back neck to be a bit high. So I'm just going to use my French curve to draw the back neckline like so, and then I'm going to cut out that part. So like we normally do to remove the bulge, on the waist area I went in by 0.75 inch, and then I connected in a slant way like so, and then we're going to cut out that part. So there is an extra opening at the front neckline. So after the front neckline like so, I came down by 4.5 inches, and then I'm just going to cut open that point. So let's cut the facing. If you want to use your normal lining, it is totally fine. After folding a pieces of fabric into 2, I placed my front pattern on it, and then now I'm tracing out the neck line, and then I'm tracing out the shoulder area as well. So if you want to use your lining, it is totally fine. So I'm just going to remove the front pattern like this, and then I'm just going to use my free hand to draw. So I came down by 10 inches like so from the neck area, and then I connected like so. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out like so. That's all for the front facing. So for the back facing as well, I picked a piece of fabric and then I folded it into 2, and then I'm going to place my back pattern on it. and make sure it is equal. You can use your pin to hold it down if your hand is not that steady. So I'm just going to trace out the neckline as well and the shoulder as well. And just like we did for the front facing, you remove your back pattern, and then I'm going to use my free hands to just draw a half circle shape. And that's all for the back facing. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. And don't forget to cut the facing into 2 for the back pattern. So our peplum is just a straight rectangular piece of fabric. So the back peplum is 2 inches longer than the front, and remember it is on fold. So the length is about 11 inches and then the width is about 2 yards. It is about 2 yards long. So I'm just going to cut the back open like this. So for the baggy pants, we are making use of this Sunray fabric, and as you can see, I have placed it on fold. So we're not going to stitch the hem. So the hem is going to be left that way. So we're just going to measure our length from the hem upwards. So I'm making use of a total of 43 inches for my trouser length. This includes the waistband and allowance. So this line here is my waistline, which is the starting point. Remember, I measured from the hem to that point, which is 43 inches. So from that waistline, I came down by 14 inches, 11 inches for my crotch depth, 3 inches for the waistband, and then 1 inch for stitching the waistband. So that gave a total of 14 inches that I marked, and then I've gone ahead to extend the line like so. So now I'm going to mark on this line my hip measurement divided by 4 plus extra 2 inches, which is 12.5 for me. And then after that, I'll mark my crotch extension, which is my hip measurement divided by 20. For me, it is 2.25. So on the waistline, I marked the 12.5 inches we marked earlier on the crotch line, and then I'm going to connect the line with my ruler like so. So on that point, I went in by 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect with my ruler back to the crotch line like so. I'm doing this because I don't want the waistline to be too puffy, or I don't want the gathers to be too much by the time I put my elastic. So now I'm drawing my crotch extension curve like so. So now we're going to measure everything we have on that crotch line, and then we're going to mark it across till the hem. So I have a total of about 14.25 inches. So I'll keep marking it downwards, but mind you, as you're going downwards, you can be adding half inch to make it more wider at the hem. So I used 14.5. As I progressed, I used 15, 15.5 till 16. So on the hem, I later used a total of 16.5. So this is to make the hem to be a bit wide, because this is a wide leg palazzo pant. So now I'm just connecting the whole point together. You can see the hem is wider. So remember, we added 2 inches to our measurements. I hope you remember. So now we're going to be marking that 2 inches at that point where I'm marking it. So we are going to mark it from the waist down to the hem. So we're going to mark it on the side of our trouser like so. In case you're not getting the explanation, please just pay attention to what I'm doing closely, and I promise you it is very easy. Just follow what I'm doing. So I'm just going to connect it in a straight line like so. So that is the 2 inches I added to the crotch line and to the waistline. So we're not going to tamper with the waistline. The place we'll alter is from the hip line downwards to the hem. So I'm just going to extend from the hip line like so. So the reason why I'm doing this is to make that place wide as well. So I'm just going to, as you can see, I extended it in a slant manner to the hem. So that's all. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out now. Just pay close attention to what I did and how I'm cutting it, and you're going to understand. So for the back pattern, I'm going to have to fold my remaining fabric into 2, and then I've placed the front pattern on it like so. So on the back pattern, make sure you leave about 2 inches on both sides, 2 extra inches on both sides. So I'm extending my waistline on my back pattern. So on that waistline that I extended, I added 2 inches, as you can see, and then on that point I came up by 1 inch. So I'm just going to blend it to the waist of the front pattern like so. So after that, I'll just add 2 inches all the way down. So after adding 2 inches to the crotch area, I'm just going to connect it like so, and then extend it. I also added 2 inches to the crotch as well, and then from the crotch down to the hem, I'm just going to add 2 inches all the way down for this side, and then I'm going to connect everything in a straight line. So for the side of the back pattern, we just extend from the hip line down to the hem in a slant manner like this. This is also to make it wide. So we're not tampering with the waist at all. So we're just cutting it out now. So now let's pick our front pattern, the front pattern of our blouse, and then open it up to the right side like so. And then I'm going to place my facing on it like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch the facing to the main pattern. I'll just start by stitching the neck area like demonstrated, like the way I'm demonstrating. I'm going to stitch it like that. So this is our front piece after stitching the facing. So I'm turning it to the right side. So this is it after turning it to the right side. As you can see, the rough edges of the neckline has been concealed. So after that, we're going to stitch the dart. As you can see, that part where I did the dart measurements is where I'm going to stitch. So you can just fold your fabric into two like this, and just like I showed you when drafting, do the same for the other side and stitch the dart as well. So this is the front piece after stitching the dart. So let's pick the back pieces of our top as well. So open it up to the right side like this and place the facing on it like so, and then we're going to go ahead and stitch the neck area as well. It's optional. If you want to stitch the zipper area, you can stitch it as well, but most importantly, we're going to stitch the neck area. So we're going to do the same thing for the second back piece as well. So we're going to stitch the back, that's how we stitch the front as well, just that your measurement will start after the zipper allowance. So this is what our back pattern looks like after stitching the facing and the dart. So now let's pick the front piece, and then we're going to place the back piece on it, right side facing right side, and then we're going to just go ahead and stitch the shoulder. We're going to place the shoulder together and stitch it together like so. We're going to do that for both shoulders. So this is what our blouse is looking like after joining the shoulder. And so the next thing we want to do is to open up the sleeve area like so, and then we're going to fold it with our allowance, with about 1.5 inch allowance. So I'm going to fold it twice like this and then stitch on it. I'm going to do the same thing for the second sleeve as well. You fold it with about 1.5 inch and then you stitch on it. So this is what our top looks like after stitching the hem of the sleeve. So the next thing we want to do is to place it together and then stitch the side. We're going to close the sides with our allowance, so I'm just going to stitch it like so. We're going to do the same thing for both sides. So this is what our top looks like after stitching both sides. Do not worry about the armhole area, we're still going to notch it. So for the peplum, remember it is just a long piece of fabric, so we're just going to fold it like so twice with our allowance, with about 1 inch allowance, and then stitch on it all the way. That's for the hem. So this is how we're going to fold it twice with just 1 inch, and then I'm going to stitch on it. So that is the hem. I'm also going to do the same thing for the back peplum as well, and then the sides I'm going to fold it twice like this and then stitch on it. So I'm going to do that for both the front and the back pieces. So let's pick our blouse. So take the front part like this and then fold it into two. So this is to determine the midpoint. So I've gone ahead to notch the midpoint. So I picked my front peplum like this, fold it equally like this, make sure it is folded into two equally, and then you notch the midpoint as well. So after that, I'm just going to open it up like so. This is for the front, and then I'm going to place the two midpoint together like this, and then I'm going to stitch from that midpoint. So I'm just going to stitch with about 1 inch allowance. So I'm going to stitch it to the side. So from the middle as well, you stitch to the other side as well, like we did for the other side. So this is it after stitching the front peplum. Take note that this is only for the front. So now for the back peplum, open up your back piece like this, and then we take one of the back pieces, and then starting from the zipper area, you can see it is the stitched part that is placed on the zipper area side, and then I'm going to stitch with my 1 inch allowance to the side, meeting the first one that we stitched at the front. So we're going to do the same thing for the other side as well. You place the second back peplum from the zipper area like this, and then you're going to stitch with 1 inch, meeting the other peplum at the front as well. So the two back and front peplum will be meeting on the side. So this is it after stitching the back peplum. As you can see, they both met on the side. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and attach my zipper to the back to close the back. So now we are not going to leave that rough edges like that, so let's open up the side like this, and then let's pick the waist part of the top, the waist of the half cut, so we're just going to fold it into two like this. Just pay close attention to what I'm doing, and then I'm going to stitch down that part. So after that, I'm going to take the peplum as well. I'm going to fold it into two like this, and then I'm going to stitch on it from that middle point to the end. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other peplum. For all the whole peplum, I'm going to fold it into two like this. I'm stitching it from that middle to the end. So I'm going to repeat that same process for this other side as well. So this is it. I've attached the zipper and I've stitched all the rough edges like I showed you. So you can see the armhole area is relaxing as well, because I've gone ahead to notch the armhole area. So that's all for sewing of our top. Our top is ready. So for the trouser, let's pick the front piece. So we're just going to place it together like this, right side facing right side, and then we're going to stitch the crotch area like this with about half an inch. So I'm also going to do the same thing for the back piece. We're going to place the back right side facing right side and stitch the crotch area. So this is how our trouser is looking like after stitching the crotch area. So the next thing we want to do is to place the front and the back pieces together, right side facing right side like this. So we're going to make sure the first side is equal like this, and then we're going to stitch all the way to the end. Then the second side as well, bring it together to be equal, and then stitch all the way to the end. After that, I'm going to place the crotch, front and back crotch together equally, and then stitch that part to the end for both legs. So this is how it looks like. I've folded my waistband by 3 inches, and then I'm going to stitch with about 0.75 inch. So remember, we added 3 inches for the band, so I folded it in to the wrong side, and then I'm going to stitch with about 1 inch. So this is how it looks after stitching. I left a little space for me to insert my elastic. So this is the elastic. It's about 2 inches wide. I'm inserting it with my safety pin. So this is it after inserting it. Our trouser is all done. Thank you so much for watching to the end. See you guys in my next one. Bye.